like and subscribe. Now, what improved your quality of life so much, you wish you did it sooner? Stop working more than 40 hours a week. Setting my own boundaries, after realizing that when I didn't, people set them for me. You young kids will think this crazy, but I'm glad to have gotten older. All those things that worried me when I was in my 20s just don't matter anymore. I'm 67 now, and much happier. Totally agree. 53-year woman here. A backquote hottie in my youth. The relief and freedom with not feeling like my worth is dependent on my looks is palpable. I stopped dyeing my hair during quarantine and now I have this wild silver streak in the front that I love. I think I'm going to grow it long again and fully rock the witch vibe. Why? Cause I'm old enough to no longer give a sh about other people's judgment. Also a lot of more substantial lessons about life and living and death. Learning to get over myself. Nobody cares what I do. Nobody is looking at me. And why should I care if they are? Nobody outside my circle has enough context to make accurate judgments about how I live. So why am I trying so hard to justify my decisions? As soon as I adopted that mindset, being alive got significantly less shy. I do my best to be a decent person and to take care of myself. And the only opinions I care about are mine, my partners, and my therapists. Going to the gym. Used to be a miserable fat bastard, but after 3 months of going to the gym, I've lost about a stone and feel so much better. I lost 100 lbs. I have about 100 more to go, but being so obese you can't find clothes at Walmart and nearly dying from non-essential organ failure at 25. Gallbladder really isn't a way to live. I literally couldn't run or get off the floor without grabbing something. I used to break or bend lawn chairs. Not fun. Embarrassing af. Permanently placed my phone on do not disturb. Allow calls from contacts. This one change saved me from constant disruptive unwanted calls. Life is good on no ring lane. I did something similar. I turned off push notifications for pretty much every app. I did this too. Turned off all notifications for all apps. I only see messages, updates, whatever, if I intentionally go to that app to look for them. Absolute life changer. Took away stress I didn't even know I had. Breathing exercises. Focusing on really deep exhales. After about 10 minutes my whole outlook for the day changes. I went back to find this comment. I read this and thought I'd try it. I didn't think I'd even make it 10 minutes. A half hour later I felt almost high off oxygen. I'm writing to let you know that I feel much calmer now. Thanks for the breath of fresh air. Cutting out toxic friends. After years of knowing someone it can be hard to see that they are no longer the person they were when the relationship started. My childhood best friend grew into a manipulative selfish prick. 4 years I hung out with him almost every day after work and always felt miserable afterwards. Everyone around me questioned why I still spent time with him. I always made excuses that seem ridiculous in hindsight. I should have cut ties 10 years ago. I'm struggling with making this transition. One of my best friends growing up is honestly an immensely selfish person today. It pains me knowing that when I make this next change there is a real possibility that they will pretty much stop existing in my life. I know it has to happen because it would be best for me, but the fear of losing an old friend is crippling. The reality is they are already lost, and I need to move on for my own well-being. Yoga. I'm an old guy, and discovered it at age 56 in 2005. By now I'm still not terribly proficient, but yoga has kept me limber. More importantly, it has been amazing for improving my peace of mind. Whenever somebody asks why I practice yoga, I reply, for peace of mind. Buying a good knife for cooking. Getting my finances in order. It's life on easy mode now. Independent blankets for my wife and I in bed. Incredible how much better you sleep when there's no waking up with blankets pulled half off or using one that's too heavy or too light. I'd highly recommend for anyone that sleeps with a significant other. We are setting up to twin beds head to head. He has nerve damage and twitches in the night. We also are opposites on the hot and cold scale. I think this will let us hold hands and talk, but have our own micro environment. If you make them bunk though you'll have so much more room for activities. My girlfriend and I were flatmates before we started dating. We've been a couple for nearly a year now but still have the 2 separate bedrooms. When we first started dating we talked about how great it's going to be, that we can move into the bigger room and turn the other one into a studio slash craft room slash office slash whatever. Point eventually we realized that we really like having separate beds to sleep in. We can have sex in either room, cuddle for hours and watch a movie after, etc. But then when it comes time to actually sleep we can go our separate ways and get a good quality uninterrupted night of sleep. If one of us just needs a nap while the other is doing something in the room, we just go to the other bedroom and sleep. If we need some time to ourselves for any reason, the other room is there. We have sleepovers in each other's rooms sometimes, and it feels fresh and fun every time, because it's not the norm. It's like living together and having our own place all at once. I feel like we've reinvented the wheel with how well it's worked for us so far. Buying a wardrobe of good quality, properly fitting clothing that I actually like. Agonizing over what to wear every morning because this doesn't fit properly. This one has a stain. I just wore that yesterday. I don't like how this sits on my body. Would start my day off very badly. For me the big thing was realizing that the size I buy doesn't matter, it's how it fits. I have some tops that are a size S. I have some tops that are an XL. Who the hell cares what size is on the label? Don't stick to one size, because that's your size. If you like something, try on different sizes and find out which suits you best. Hiking in the mountains. Nothing makes me feel more at peace and excited at the same time. Flossing. I never saw the dentist as a kid, and no one really pushed me to or cared about my dental health. As an older editor who had poor dental hygiene growing up, keep at it. Getting old sucks as it is, but it's even worse when you have a problem that could have been avoided. As a kid I got braces and any flossing I did stopped completely right there, since it was too annoying to work around them. Once I got them off I overheard a relative of mine talking about how his dentist told him he'd have no teeth if he didn't start flossing, and for some reason that stuck with me. However, I still really hated flossing my back teeth with floss alone. So I began looking for flossing picks and ended up finding a great one specifically designed to assist in getting the back teeth. Dentech Easy Reach floss picks. Ever since buying those there has been nearly no days where I missed flossing. While I would strongly recommend anyone who hates using string alone to look into flossers, and I would like to endorse these picks, there is a slight issue. They redesigned them recently and I have not had a chance to use the new design. Just looking at them, I can tell they still have a good shape for back teeth flossing, and they seem fine, but the floss quality was changed, and I haven't tried the new floss yet, so I don't know how good they currently are. Sobered up. 2 years. 43yo. Started exercising regularly again. 4x a week. Forget the physical benefits for a minute. The mental benefits outweigh the gains all day. This is exactly why I finally took up exercise. I've never considered myself a fitness girl by any means, but last winter my mental health took such a hit that I had to try something, and I liked it so much I'm still sticking with it. I must have spent a good 3 years of my 30s thinking it was all downhill from here. Minor aches and pains that add up, sore bones and joints. Turns out I was just being lazy and getting fat. In my 40s now. Exercise daily, lift weights 5 days a week and mountain bike twice a week, and just ran 6 miles this last weekend. In better shape now than at any point in my 30s, and feel great. So why did I ever let myself feel like a sloth before? Bought a cart that carries my groceries from the cart in my apartment. No more trying to carry 5 bags in each hand. I read this as if the cart is automated and takes them by itself. But I don't think it's what you meant. If it is, then where do I buy one? Automating simple yet time-consuming tasks like Excel macros. You wouldn't realize how much time you save beforehand, but it sure does save heaps. Excel is a huge part of my work. Where do I learn this stuff? Thank you. A good starting point is to enable the developer ribbon in Excel. Google it. It's easy. Next, don't bother trying to write any VBA. Just record a macro for a simple but repetitive task, like moving to a certain cell and pasting. Recording a macro is as easy as pressing the record button, doing a few things in Excel, and pressing the stop button. Now, every time you run that macro, it repeats what you recorded. You can assign a keyboard shortcut to launch it. Again, Google is your friend. Next, look at the VBA behind the macro you just made. That's what you'll be writing yourself once you learn a bit more. Mess around with the code. See what happens when you change bits. This will give you a feel for it. Once you're at this stage, start reading beginner level tutorials on VBA. You can record something similar to what you want. Then fine tune it for a lot of tasks so you don't need to be an expert to build some really useful macros that can literally shave hours off your day. Well, I picked up the most from my internships and early analyst days, but that's because I had prior coding background. I once worked in software development camp. I was told from recent recruits that they've learned macro VBA from it or LinkedIn learning tutorials. You could also ask your firm whether they provide these type of skill training. Eating healthy. It's amazing after you realize how much you feel like after you just took down a double cheeseburger, extra large fries, and a large Coke, but at the time, you don't realize it and just think you're tired. Good eating habits and exercising changed my life. Sleeping when I'm sleepy. Instructions unclear. Fired from work. Let me introduce you to Conaps at my office. Pretty much every new parent co-worker would eat a quick lunch, then sit in their car and nap, or take a 20-minute coffee break in their car. You knew the car nappers because their cars would be parked in a lot that was not quite visible from the office due to some trees and the spots were shaded. My problem is I'm always sleepy. From one chronically sleepy person to another. Here's a helpful list of things you should run through to see if any of them might be contributing to your sleepiness. Actual sleep related issues. Do you keep a consistent sleep schedule? Waking up at the same time every day no matter what. No caffeine within 8 hours of going to bed. Even if you can fall asleep with caffeine in your system, your quality of sleep is decreased. No alcohol within a few hours of going to bed. Same as caffeine where you can fall asleep, and frequently people report falling asleep more easily. But alcohol disrupts your sleep cycles and causes worse sleep. Do you take naps late in the day? Do you find the times you're naturally most alert to be significantly different than what is considered normal? There are circadian rhythm sleep disorders that cause lots of sleepiness. If you're not sleeping when your body naturally wants to, need sleep specialist diagnosis. Do you get enough sleep? 7 to 9 hours is typically considered normal for adults, but sleep needs vary person to person. Do you snore? Especially loudly, or wake up gasping? Snoring can be rated to sleep apnea, a condition where you stop breathing in your sleep and your body is constantly waking up because of it. Sleep apnea has to be diagnosed with a sleep study. It can also be life-threatening if severe enough and left untreated. Any history of sleep disorders in your family? Bodily issues. Do you have depression, anxiety, or other mental health issues? Do you get enough sunlight early in the morning and throughout the day? Bright light early in the morning helps regulate sleep cycles, which should help you feel more awake during the day. Plus also vitamin D deficiency can cause fatigue. Are you deficient in any vitamins or minerals? Need blood tests to see official levels, but specifically vitamins D, B, and K along with iron are essential for how you feel in regards to sleepiness and fatigue. Are you eating enough? Extreme calorie deficits can cause fatigue. Moderately low deficits, that is, 500 calories under your D, should not cause this issue. Do you exercise regularly? Are you drinking enough water? Recommended water intake varies from source to source, but generally a good rule of thumb is to drink between 5-1.0 ounces per pound of body weight. Adjust according to weather and activity level. Also note that things like caffeine and alcohol dehydrate you, so you should accommodate your intake accordingly. Do you have any chronic health conditions? Lots of medical issues can contribute to sleepiness and fatigue, including but absolutely not limited to autoimmune diseases, thyroid issues, and pain disorders. Are you stressed or very understimulated? This is just my personal experience, but if I'm stressed I tend to feel extra sleep from dealing with it. If I'm really bored or understimulated, I also tend to feel more tired, but if I find something engaging to do, I find myself feeling more awake. This list is not exhaustive by any means, but could be a helpful starting point. If you're not sure why you're tired, drink more water. Fatigue is one of the first symptoms of milk dehydration. If that doesn't help, ask a doctor. I stopped caring. Not everyone is gonna like you. All you need to do is like yourself. Roomba. OMG, not having to sweep dog/cat hair daily is such a blessing. Real talk, I don't know a single damned person with pets who has one, and I need an objective opinion. Does that really pick up all the cat hair? I've got 4 fuzzy beasts at home, and I really do want a little vacuum 2D2, but I could not convince myself to drop the cash on one only for it to struggle to keep up. How frequently do you have to maintain it? Maintain? You mean empty the tray? Because of the amount of hair, I try to do it every run. The first time you run it, you'll have to clean it out 3 to 4 times as it runs. My cat and dog shed like crazy, and yes, it picks it up very well. It also pushes the cat's toys under the couch though, LMAO. Seeing a therapist. My dad died when I was 16. And I never saw or really talked to anyone about it till I was in my 30s. So many years wasted, being angry and sad. How did you go about finding a therapist who matched you? Working remotely, spending money on gas, parking, clothes, etc. Just not worth it for most of my pre-remote working life. Quitting smoking. I couldn't imagine life without it back then. But man, is life better without a constant need like that, not to mention all the health benefits. Me too. I can walk and run and go upstairs without wheezing now. I like being able to laugh without coughing. 2. Taking vitamin D supplements and getting a therapy lamp for the winter. Holy sh, does it make a difference. I realized after my first year of university that the reason I didn't do well in the winter semester was because I was feeling depressed and exhausted due to lack of sunlight. I live in Canada, so the days are way shorter in winter. So when you leave before the sun rises, get home after it sets, and wear a coat all day, so your skin is exposed to no sunlight, you miss a lot of vitamin D. So I take vitamin D supplements each morning to make up for what I'm missing, and I use a therapy lamp to simulate sunlight in the morning. You feel way more energized and awake during the day. I would highly recommend it to anyone who feels exhausted in winter. P.S. If you're interested in a therapy lamp, look up SAD lamp or seasonal affective disorder lamp. I take a bunch of vitamins, but all could be bullsh, except vitamin D. It's the only one I notice if I don't take it. Good stuff and cheap. Working from home in it. This environment and industry fit me like a glove. WFH is amazing. I can't imagine ever wanting to commute for work again. No more losing time, money and sleep. I love having ownership over my schedule. I went back to office work half the time. It is nice to see everyone, but once I start working I hate it. 99% of people spend a maximum 6 hours a day working. The time sitting at my desk for a midge between 3 to 5 are absolutely brutal. Everyone can see my desk and laptop, no Reddit, no anything. I grind away for 6 hours to scroll through the same shit I've seen on LinkedIn 100 times. At home, I'm more comfortable, can get a lot of administrative/busy work done when I have a TV show or movie I've seen a million times playing in the background. For serious need to be on top of its stuff, I have my basement. Driving in the car for over an hour every day to say hello to people. Cutting out alcohol. I don't criticize anyone who drinks, but I was a problem drinker. Stopping that cycle improved everything about my life. I quit just over 8 months ago. I don't feel terrible every morning. I have way less anxiety. I'm a better dad. Just happier overall. Me too. It took me a long time to figure out some people just can't drink. And I was one of those. Can't do 2 beers. 2 beers turns to 15 real quick. 1 is too many, and 15 isn't enough. Right. I haven't quit drinking, but I've more or less quit getting drunk. Yes, it changes things. I'm the same way. I still drink occasionally, but usually limit myself to 2 drinks. I realized that basically 99% of my most embarrassing instances and moments of bad judgment were when I was drunk, going on 8 months without a drink. I wish moderation was an option for me, but it's not. So many things in my life have improved. Many things are still shtar, but at least I'm giving myself the opportunity to fix them by having a clear mind. Deleting all the people from high school I don't see anymore from social media. I did this too. Was one of my best decisions. Social media has never been a kind place for me. Deleting social media altogether. No Facebook, no Twitter, only limited amounts of Reddit. Does wonders. What's this limited amounts of Reddit you speak of? I was very shy and self-conscious. but at some point I started just living how I wanted. I already wasn't popular, so what was I risking? Girls still wouldn't be interested. I guess I just started doing things I'd been afraid to do before, including being more outgoing. I know this sounds like generic advice, but it really worked for me. Every time your brain says no, that wouldn't work out, or no, what would people think, or any other version of no, don't try. It's a perfect opportunity to do something you feel drawn to. Dye your hair pink. Try painting even though you know you'll suck at it. Fart and then say it was me. Okay, maybe not the last one. How do you shut out that self-conscious voice that thinks it knows the outcome of every situation? There's always something telling me why I shouldn't or can't do something I'm scared of. For me, it took acknowledging my own adulthood and really, truly gripping the fact that even if I F up, once I decide I'm going to do it, I'll do it and deal with the consequences. I work in R&D, and I still have to remind myself that for every one project that goes right, there are going to be 99 that flop and just don't go the way I want. But if I don't do those other 99 and learn from them, I'll never get that magical happy feeling when it hits the bullseye. Being scared is fine. Being so scared that it prevents you from living requires a lot of willpower to overcome. Moving out of my parents' house. Learning to be okay with saying no and starting off all relationships, personal and professional, with healthy boundaries. You don't ever need an excuse to say no to if you don't want to do something. Don't feel like going out with friends that night. No thank you. Don't want to work an extra shift at your place of employment if it's not mandatory. No thanks, boss. Boundaries are amazing, and when set from the beginning, they are much easier to maintain for your own mental well-being. Agree. And to add to this, a big thing is actually just saying no, rather than avoiding the situation by not confronting it. I remember on my mid-20s, when my social life started to change, people just getting busier, or getting married, etc. I can't even begin to tell you how many invites to hang out, or when I asked if someone could do something I just got ignored. One time a friend said she wouldn't respond to invites if she couldn't/didn't want to go, and I'm just like, do you have any idea how bad people feel when they are just ignored? Seriously, it crushed me when people just didn't respond or blew off my invites. I stopped inviting them to do things and friendships fizzled out. However, I do remember the people who would say things like "this weekend doesn't work for me. It let me know about next time." Or "I don't really like hiking, but thanks for the invite." Givers have to set limits, because takers don't have any. The only people who get upset at you having boundaries are the people who benefited by you having none. People suck at this one so much. I see it all the time at work. We are salaried, no what required, and I'm always seeing people working a stupid amount of hours. I put my 8 hours/day in and go home, or log off. Since WFH during COVID, I have seen some coworkers putting in 50, 60 plus hours on a regular basis when it's not even required. Oh sure, they find an excuse. I committed to finishing X by Friday, but the reality is that the work will still be there tomorrow and there is always more work to do. Or they take on extra work that's not really their job, trying to help out one time, and then they get asked again and again, and eventually that extra work just becomes their responsibility. The more you do, the more that is expected. So eventually you're expected to produce an amount of work that takes 60 hours a week, and it's just not sustainable. These people burn themselves out for no reason. There's nothing wrong with working extra because of an emergency on occasion, or helping someone out if you have time. But regularly giving in turns this into the new expectation. Companies will take as much as you will give them, and pay you as little as possible in the process. Set your boundaries and stick to them, or you're going to regret it later. I used to pride myself as being an empath, one in tune with others' emotions, absorbs energy, etc. Therapist said, nope, you just have really shitty boundaries. Changed my whole life. Letting my pride and ego take hits. I used to have been such a me person in my early life. When I allowed myself to be taken down a peg or two, I started having new perspectives on life and people around me. It's a great lesson for young people. If you're wrong about something, don't double down on it. Just admit fault, learn, and keep it moving. We all make mistakes. Let's quit pretending we are somehow better than everybody else. This is such a hard one to get people to change, partially because of egos, but largely because it is super ingrained in everyone that it is horrible to contradict something you've said in the past, like you are either a liar or you must not have strong convictions. It's like personal growth is actively frowned upon, unfortunately. Committing myself to a mental hospital and subsequent treatment. Throwing out all my socks and buying a single type, no more looking for pairs. Tried this, was great short term, but my washer/dryer broke. Started using a public laundromat, and somehow not only am I losing socks, but I'm gaining other socks I've never seen before. I think the damn dryers are eating/regurgitating other socks, and it's super annoying lol. I did this a few years back, and it was a gamma changer. I still have 3 types though. Calf height black socks for office work. Calf height white socks for outdoors work in boots. White ankle socks for casual wear or workouts. Laundry day is EZBZ for my It's the 47,000 different kinds and colors of socks that my kids have that is a problem. Losing 200 pounds. Someone give this man his 200 pounds back. Thank you for making me almost choke on my food.